Is there a general consensus that we should have some sort of summit or charrette about the downtown, and when would we want to be doing that?
I think maybe Sarah could chat with some of the committees and try to see what time works out best and try to set up a meeting. I think that would make sense for Sarah to kind of
probably early fall would be a good kickoff day.
Yep.
It's hard getting committees together in the
can't do it in the
summer,
summertime.
so usually right after Labor Day there seems to be a burst of interest.
Could we have maybe just designate Sarah to try to get all the groups together to get that organized?
Yep, I think
Sure.
that would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Next item is Town Administrator FY 2014 Review and Goals Discussion.
Finally, after 39 years, you're going to tell me what kind of job I've been doing.
Did you guys do any sort of outline as to?
I did not. No, I did not
Okay.
do
Did
a
you do anything?
review of my.
I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
Oh, okay, so let's do that some other time then.
What exactly are you looking for?
Well, Christine had sent around a sheet
Yep.
that she suggested we use, which was the sheet that I guess that they use for other employees. I've been collecting materials because one of the, I think that one of the things that, as the Board of Selectmen, that we really should be doing is reviewing the town administrator on an annual basis. I hate doing it. I don't like it, but I think it's really one of the things that we are obligated to do. And I actually have been, because of that, I've been collecting materials over the years, and I have ones from Needham and Provincetown that I like better than the one that Christine sent around. So I'll scan all three and send them to you, and we can decide which one we want to use.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
That gets us a lot of time. Good. We can get dinner in tonight. Board of Health requests the Selectmen vote to appoint Gabriel Harrison as a full member of their board, presently an associate member.
I move we appoint Gabby Harrison as a full member of the Medfield Board of Health.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yep.
Are they still shy a member?
I don't think so, but I think they can have, there's no limit to the members they can have. There's 3 customarily, but didn't you do some research and?
I thought it was 5.
Specific?
I don't know offhand. I couldn't tell you.
I think that one time they had 5 and they asked to reduce it to 3, but I don't think it's not in the charter, is it?
Because I think they're looking for someone with like an engineering background.
It's been 3 ever since I've been there.
Yeah, I think if we could find someone with an engineering background, it would be very helpful for
Right.
them. They certainly would like to have someone like that on the board, because I think most of the people currently on the board, I think all of them have a medical background as
Right.
opposed
Right.
to
Septic plan.
engineering background.
Septic plan.
Septic and storm and drainage, storm drainage, and
Yep.
some of the issues they get into.
We're asked to vote to authorize Chief Meany to act as agent on behalf of the town as the Human Resources Liaison,
And the chief is back there if you would like him to
and
explain
vote
that.
to authorize me to execute a letter to Civil Service Unit regarding same.
Him all dressed up too, the suit.
Nice.
Jeez.
It was important.
Button one.
Bottom line, over the past couple of years, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Civil Service, which is under the Human Resources Division, has become more computerized. So in order to look at the list, create the list, in order to hire, in order to promote, transfer people in and out, things of that nature, someone needs to access for Medfield to that computer system. So since I'm the chief of the only department that uses civil service, I thought that I would probably be the logical candidate. So that's step 1,
Yep.
if you like that idea. And then, do you want me to go into step 2 while I'm standing here on the
Sure.
letter?
Please.
About the sergeants, yeah.
Sergeant Mayer is going to be retiring in September, which means I need to do a promotional examination. People have been studying for it. It's typically held in the fall, but there needs to be a request coming from the appointing authority in order to hold the exam. So that would be
okay.
signature number 2. And
Excellent.
that will make me quite happy.
So do we have a motion then to both to authorize the chief to act as the agent on behalf of the town for the Human Resources Unit and to go ahead with the sergeant's exam?
Do you want that? Is that 2 separate ones you want? I move that we authorize Chief Bob Meany to act as agent on behalf of the town as the Human Resource Liaison, and to vote to authorize our chairman to execute a letter to Civil Service regarding the same.
I'll second that.
The letter, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion 2 then?
Second motion is to authorize our chairman to execute a letter to civil service requesting the police department's participation in the fall 2014 sergeant's promotional examination.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Said letters have been prepared by Mrs. Clark for your
Yeah.
signature.
They've already
All
been
done.
They've already been signed, actually.
Okay, that's a
They were
great thing.
sitting there, and I just went ahead and signed them, so.
I'm going to have to remember that.
I hadn't seen that was on the agenda, so.
Perfect. Thank you.
How many years was Sergeant Meara in the force?
I do not know. It's, he came in shortly after, he came here shortly after I went over to Wellesley, so you're talking, I went over there in '82, so we're 92, 02, 12,
30 years.
yeah, a lot of years.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be missed. Does a lot of the firearms licensing administrative work for me, so be a hole to fill. That and his bagpipes will no longer be heard marching with the Boston Police Gala column of pipes and drums, which is also a big loss.
You can't keep doing that?
Not from Utah.
Oh. Man, where's his
The selected
commitment?
destination.
Maybe there's a woman.
I'm sure there's somebody out there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Appreciate it.
We're asked to vote to authorize town administrator to execute grant allocation on behalf of the Council on Aging.
This is a formula grant they have. It's, I believe it combined with some funding from the Council on Aging budget. It provides for the Susan Bernstein's position, outreach coordinator. And it's something that they receive each year from the Commonwealth.
It's able to get her to be full-time, correct?
No, she'll still be part-time. I believe the schedule's in there, the number of hours she works. I believe it's 16 hours a week or 18 hours a week.
So this is to keep her current,
Current
which is
levels,
her
yes.
current level?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they weren't they looking to increase that?
I believe that was that another position? They have 6 positions there. If you can hand me that, the folder, I can tell you exactly
I don't know if it's in that one, Mike.
what it is. It's a volunteer coordinator.
Yeah.
It's not the outreach. They increased the hours for the outreach worker this year, but she's the volunteer coordinator. And at $1,460 in town funding and $16,080 in state funding, and that provides for 16 and a half hours per week.
Do I have a motion to that?
Yes, please.
I move to authorize the town administrator to execute the grant allocation on behalf of the Council of Aging.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Well, thank you, because like the chairman of the selectmen, I'd already signed it too, so.
We shouldn't bother.
Keep you out of
These
trouble.
meetings are just getting so routine, I guess. Next, we're asked to vote to authorize the town administrator to execute, I love this, the facility encroachment agreement between CSX and the town, Hospital Road Water Main.
Yeah, that's.
The
so that
encroachment
the,
agreement.
Water main, they have to go under the railroad tracks.
Encroaching on the railroad line, huh?
And you have to have an agreement from CSX, and that's the agreement, so.
I move that we authorize the town administrator to execute the facility encroachment agreement between CSX and the town of Medfield concerning the Hospital Road water main.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yep.
Yeah, they're moving along. I understand they hit some ledge up around, what is it, not Hague Road, is it, or Clayton?
Clayton.
Yeah, they hit,
They've been there for quite a while. I've been
yes.
going through Sherburne this week.
Yes, it is a long, because I had the guy from Norfolk County Mosquito Control, Dave Lawson, take a look at sites to put beehives, and we tried to go up there.
Can't get
and
by.
go all the way around, so. It is a long detour, but
When,
hopefully, once they get past there, I talked to Ken, and he thinks once they get past there, it's all good gravel, and they shouldn't have any more problems.
When they were putting in the Johnson's house,
Oh, yeah.
and I laughed because to get to my house, you had to go through police lines, and so I kidded that we lived in a gated community for a week. At this point, it feels like my street has been ceded to Sherburne, because you have to drive to Sherburne to get anywhere. Under licenses and permits, Medfield Student Council requests permission to hold a fundraising car wash behind Town Hall on August 23, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we allow the Medfield High School Student Council to hold their car wash on August 23rd, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. behind our town hall.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Yep. Medfield State Hospital, status update. Coordination meeting held on Tuesday, July 8 with DCAM and DPW. Medfield State Hospital Redevelopment Committee meeting to be determined. Mr. Massaro is holding his hand up.
Yeah, I can give you a quick status on a couple of the state hospital items. Unless something happened later today, the hospital purchase legislation is still in Senate Ways and Means. It went in there on the 23rd of June. Westboro's also appears to still be in the Senate Ways and Means. Ours went in the 27th, Westboro's went in the 23rd. So they haven't gotten ahead of us anyway in terms of.
Yeah.
John Harney spoke with Senator Timilty's office. And Mike, did you hear? Have you heard anything?
No, I
today?
haven't.
Okay.
Have you heard anything about Waltham? Is that moving? Do they expect that to go
I have
through
not
too?
been. This is Fernwall and the sale over there. I haven't been following that. I've been keeping an eye on Westboro because we're so closely linked and we're using the same plan and everything else in terms of share.
I wondered if Waltham, they were holding it to do all three at the same time.
I'll start. If I can get the bill number, I'll start tracking it. I'll look and see if I can find the bill number and see what happens.
Those things start, if they're going to move, they move very quickly.
Yeah,
They can
Timothy's
almost
office
do it
told
overnight.
John Harney last Friday that that the senator's in constant touch with the Senate President and with the Ways and Means Chairman, and that he is confident that all is well, and that he thinks it can go out for a roll call any day now, and that now that the budget's been settled, I think the floodgates are going to be opened and a lot of these things are going to get through. And according to the senator's office, some good news is that the legislation was not subjected to the bonding committee process. So that's another impediment that's been removed. So again, they're hopeful, and I'm also told that Denise Garlick's office is following up pretty much daily as well. Regarding the water tower, the land disposition agreement is in review by the town. The surveys of the land are complete. We met with DCAM and Water and Sewer's environmental consultant who's doing the water main work and the water tower work at the hospital last Tuesday. Water and Sewer's consultant, Environmental Partners, has submitted a revised license to DCAM to approve a third round of sampling and soil testing around the water tank. And then the plan is to define what the scope of the removal work will be, define the volume of what needs to be disposed off-site, and what volume would meet the criteria for going under the C&D cap. The hope is that the town could save some significant dollars by not having to truck all of that material off-site. The environmental, I had a note from Environmental Partners today. They were hoping to have had their approval for the license today. I don't think they got it by the end of the day, but they've been told that there's no problem with it, and they're hoping that they're going to start the soil sampling and everything later this week. So that's moving along pretty well. The only thing that we don't have, and I'm somewhat frustrated over, is I have not been able to get a contract schedule from DCAM for when they're going to start the work in the C&D area. I understand that they had some, I guess, not unexpected contractual issues to resolve. With the charter who they've selected as their subcontractor, but that they should be starting very, very quickly. I'm pushing for the schedule because with the work that's being done, the CSX work, in fact, that you just approved, the plan is for the DCAM subcontractor to start trucking material off-site coming down the power plant road, which means they'll be crossing over the tracks to get onto Route 27, and we don't want to conflict with the work that's going on in water and sewer. So I'm continuing to push to get a schedule out of DCAM.
Actually, a slight delay might not be that bad, though, because it'll give water and sewer more time to get approvals on the disposition of the contaminated soils up there, so.
You know, I think that's, John Thompson's keeping an eye on that. He's given some guidance to environmental
Sure.
partners.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've went over just briefly the protocol and the procedures for how they should go about the sampling, stockpiling of the material, separation of material that would meet the criteria to go under the cap versus material that wouldn't meet it, and,
Right.
and how to handle that material. So I think we're fairly well down the road with what needs to be done and how it's going to be done. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of how much of it there is.
But we have to be ready. They won't wait for us. You know, they want, if we're ready when they need it, they will take it. My understanding, if we're not ready, they're not going to wait for us.
Yeah, but we don't have to wait to take it up for DCAM to start. So, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
you know, I suspect that we can be ready before DCAM will.
yeah, good. I did hear from Mary Beth Clancy this afternoon, and she said that if we have no problems with the disposition agreement, they are ready to start preparing the documents for the selectman's signature on the deed to transfer the water tower land.
Nice. Oh, the water tower, okay. Yeah.
Hopefully, we will have that, hopefully by the next meeting. So.
Hopefully, we'll get a purchase and sale agreement or some sort of land disposition agreement from them for the main
Well,
campus,
it's
too.
a deed, some sort of a deed they draw up, yes.
Position agreement floating around. I
Yes.
had asked Chris, and Peg Stolfer has taken the lead on it.
Yep.
Typically, she reviews it and then will flip it to me for further comments.
Okay,
And can you
We do
circulate it?
have an agreement.
Can you circulate it around to the selectmen so we can see it, please?
Let me check how I got it, buddy.
I have a copy. I can do it. I'll send it out to the selectmen.
Thank you.
You know, I mean, I didn't review it from a legal point of view, but I just went through it just to make sure that all of the references to the parcels, where they were, you know, at the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds and everything else, tracked to what was in the legislation. And as far as I was able to determine, everything tracks exactly, at least in terms of identification of what's being disposed of, if you will, is in fact what was in the legislation.
Is this something we should have the negotiating committee look at?
I don't see any reason why. Again, I don't know who Christine has sent it out to. I know Peg has it, and that Peg is looking at it and everything else.
Is there anything in that the negotiating committee?
No.
It would be, everything is okay?
It's legal. There is a reverter if the town fails to use it for public water supply, the land reverts to the state.
And that just mirrors the legislation. I mean,
Right, so-
it basically copies what was in the legislation,
Right,
except
so if you've made the comparison, or Peg's made the comparison between the legislation and the agreement, then
I'll follow up with Peg in Christine's
It's-
absence. I'll follow up.
it's both parcels, the well field and
It's the well field,
and the
exactly
tower,
like the
yeah.
legislation, you know, it was
Yeah.
in two sections in the legislation, it's two sections there. It's $1, by the way, the no or nominal cost in the land disposition is $1.
Okay.
But that's a separate issue. What about the entire parcel that's now being debated with the state?
that's not,
Yeah,
this
that's-
does not
yeah.
address it.
Correct. So I'm raising a different issue. With the negotiating committee, should we and DCAM be looking to see if there's anything that is not on the same page of what we're saying, what they're saying? Is there anything in the,
I think on that one, at this stage in the game, the way the legislature works with all these bills, you just have to hold your breath and hope. I think you never know what's going to come out. You know, you never know. Somebody throws in a sentence at the last minute in the middle of a session. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, we lost, I don't think we lost any time in terms of the overall process, but we kind of like backed up a little bit to when the emergency preamble got left out, so we had to hustle to get that back in. I don't think we lost any
but
time.
we don't think there's any other surprises that are going to
Well,
come up?
I don't
never
think,
know.
you never know, as Mike said, you never know what's going to happen in legislation, but what we haven't defined yet are the non-share ratio kinds of items with DCAM. And those are the things I think that we should very shortly start sitting down with DCAM to make sure there are no surprises there in
Yeah.
terms of the other terms, of you will, of the purchase and sale agreement.
Uh,
That land disposition agreement will be commensurately more complex, I would think, than the water tower.
Yeah, I agree. No. But by the DCAM also, by the way, did their the surveys that were required, as when they were doing the surveys for the water tower, I'm told they surveyed the rest of the property as well. So so they now have all the meets and bounds for the rest of the property, which they would need for.
Incidentally, when I spoke to Mary Beth, she asked if we could do a quick turnaround on the land disposition review because their council is going to be on vacation in August, so the sooner we can get that back to them, the better it will be. And I know Georgia is trying to, I think she's around September 18th or September 19th. She's planning on selling the bonds for the water tower. And she wants to do it as quickly as possible to take advantage of the low interest rate environment. So in order to sell the bonds, we have to have the deed to the property. So anything, if you do get that tomorrow from Bill, if you could take a look at it, and if you do have any problems, get back to us right away.
What was the deadline for DCAM? What date were they looking for, Mike?
It was, I think he's going to be away for like 2 or 3 weeks in August. Their council or she is going to be away.
Because the selectmen won't be meeting again before August.
Well, they can prepare the documents.
So
it's not. So as long as the documents are in form and that. So
I'll send copies out. I'll make distribution tomorrow, and I'll talk to Peg to see what she's done, if any, because she wrote the original legislation pretty much anyway. So.
When I talked to Chris before she left, it seemed like everything looked okay, so I think that's probably in good shape.
Yeah, I'm not a land lawyer or anything else. I mean, I can read a contract for buying something, but I mean, in terms of all of the niceties of the contract,
After all the stuff you've done over the last 10 years, you're pretty close to.
I play one on TV.
Selectmen's reports then. Mr. DeSorga.
Yes, I have a couple of things here. One, I received an email from Representative Sean Dooley. As you probably know, that cell tower legislation that basically would strip local communities of any zoning rights of where cell towers could go passed the House but was not in the Senate and is now in a conference committee. And Representative Dooley said, just to give you an update, that Senate 2183 is still in Ways and Means. From what I've been told, it's not been fast-tracked to get out of this session. That being said, there are always forces at play that might be working behind the scenes to get things out. The Conference Committee on the Economic Development Bill will meet for the first time tomorrow, and he's asked Representative Guilford, who I believe is chair of that, to do everything in her power to make sure the co-location amendment does not get included in the final bill. We'll find out tomorrow if there's someone pushing hard for in that committee. So I asked them, would it be helpful if the Medfield Board of Selectmen sent a letter to those committee members urging its defeat? And he said he can't see any harm in doing that. I'm just very concerned that somehow this is going to be pushed through legislation, and that's going to come back to really hurt us and haunt the towns with that.
What I think you really need to be careful of, as I read the material from MMA, is there's a two-pronged attack. It's an amendment to the Economic Development Bill, but there's also a standalone bill that provides for the same thing. So if it could fail to get included in the Economic Development Bill and still be slipped through as a separate piece of legislation.
So I don't know, if the citizens of Medfield start contacting different members of this committee, they probably could care less because they're not Medfield reps on that. So that's what I thought. If it came from the Board of Selectmen expressing our real concerns over this, it might just throw a little more weight.
Can't hurt.
So I move that we put a letter out as soon as possible, if their first meeting is tomorrow, expressing the concern of this board of that S2183 and also the bill that was tacked into the economic development bill that went through the House.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yep.
Second thing, we're still working on the railroad tracks with that, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
An unusual call I received and some additional emails. Citizens that have, and I have Comcast, so I can't speak on this, but citizens that in Medfield that have Verizon are claiming that the commercial comes on much louder once the program stops.
Oh, yeah.
Been doing it for a long time.
And he said there's actually a law preventing that from happening. So I contacted some Verizon officials, and they agreed, and they are going to look at the individuals that complained. They asked them to keep track of all the different commercials, and then they'll investigate. So I don't know if this is town-wide or not, but Verizon said they will look at that, and several of the citizens are in direct communication now with the Verizon officials, and I'll keep you up to date whether they're doing that or not.
Thank you.
The other thing, if we could put on, and I know it was left off of the schedule, the tree warden and tree city, that was on originally, and I think that kind of ties in. I think the tree warden should have a lot to say when we begin to look at the downtown with the planting of trees and things. If we could have reschedule the tree warden and the idea of the tree city back onto the calendar.
I heard that our tree warden is resigning, retiring.
Not as tree warden. He's going to stay on as tree warden,
Oh,
but he's retiring.
leaving the DPW.
His
He's not
knowledge,
doing-
I hope we can tap, his knowledge of, this is Ed Hinckley, his knowledge of the water system of Medfield and where everything is just so unbelievable. Somehow we have to tap that knowledge and transfer that.
Yep.
Yeah, luckily we did GPS a lot of the stuff, but still, you're right, we're in a bit of a panic thinking, what are you gonna do when he suddenly isn't around anymore?
I met Ed when he drove us around to perambulate the bounds of the town, and there are these granite markers that are out in the woods that nobody but Ed knew where they were.
And then just some other things in the update. What's the update on the meal tax? I had mentioned that before. When does that actually kick in?
I believe it kicked in July 1st, but I've been checking my
Fiscal year.
restaurant tabs, and they don't break it out separately. You know, I noticed in other cities or towns, when I've gotten a meal, they break out the local meals tax separately, and so far they have not been doing that, so.
See a higher percentage on the total meals tax, though.
I haven't taken out my calculator and figured it out, but I don't know, so.
How do we find out if that's in effect or not?
I'll ask the town clerk. She's been in touch with the woman at the state that handles that, but it's supposed to, when I spoke to her after town meeting, she said it would take, I thought it didn't take effect till August 1st. She said no, it would take effect July 1st. But they make the distributions quarterly, so.
Right.
And then, do you have an update on the Gatehouse 40B? Any more word on that?
Yes, my understanding is, I did talk to Sarah and John today, and I believe, what was it, they were waiting for one more approval before they break ground, but as soon as that approval comes through, they are planning on breaking ground, so I thought it was going to be in July, but apparently they still have one more hurdle to clear before they start, but.
Okay, and then the other thing is, last meeting, we were supposed to have that, the Energy Committee. Can we reschedule them also to come in at a future
Yeah,
date?
I think they're on here for.
Supposed to be
they on the
last.
Schedule for, it might have been later.
We could just reschedule them.
Yeah.
And that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Fisher.
Yeah, Thursday nights, as Russ had alluded to, have been, the weather's been great and stuff like that, so it's important for folks to get out on Thursday nights in Medfield, right? Listen to some great music, go up on the roof deck, Zulu Gallery, and have some beverages there and enjoy the nice summer weather in Medfield. So things are looking pretty good for the summer here in Medfield. The downtown is popping.
It really is a lively downtown.
It is, yeah.
It's amazing.
It is really nice, yeah, it's really nice.
By the way, I did have a tour of Brothers Marketplace the other day, and they are still they're shooting out for an opening around August 31st.
Okay.
Excuse me, July 31st.
Oh, good.
So whether they'll make it or not, I don't know, but
Looking good.
they certainly are trying with
Yeah.
valiant effort.
Oh, there's all
yeah.
kinds of action there.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Sorrell.
And in the same vein, the fully executed leases came back, license agreements for parking, signed by Roach Brothers and the owner of the
Right, so these are all
property.
set, yeah.
So we have three copies. The library has one, the town hall has one, and I have one.
Excellent.
Great.
No, that's it, just the saying Brothers is looking really good.
Yeah.
We took a look at it last Thursday night, it was really coming together nicely, you know, really.
And the town garage is
Yeah.
about 4 to 6 weeks. It should be completed. I think we're scheduled for August 9th to take you guys down for a tour, so.
Yeah, the air conditioning is working great. I stopped by on Sunday, I think, was checking it
Yeah,
out.
well,
and it was
unfortunately,
working
it's not our
excellent.
bill yet, so. Well, they have it pumped up because they're trying to dry out the
dry out
concrete
the
to
concrete, yeah.
reduce the moisture content,
Yeah.
and that's why the air conditioning is
It works
working so-
great.
so
Oh, it's
much, so.
unbelievable. Yeah.
If you're not doing anything, or if you want to stay over tonight, 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, the permanent building
Perfect.
committee's meeting here to review the town garage and the public safety building, so.
Thank you for that. The Energy Committee met recently, I don't remember what week it was, but it might have been last week, and they're following up on their technical assistance grant that Fred Davis got for them for the solar siting in town, 5,000, that, and the person from Solar Design Associates, SDA, was there. And Fred walked them through the three sites that are being examined at the wastewater treatment plant, the old dump, and the roof of the garage. Somebody contacted me about lights coming out of the DPW driveway, and I put them in touch with, they'll be at the meeting actually tomorrow. Mike Quinlan, is it McQuinlan or Quinlan?
No, Mike Quinlan lives down around Stewart, I think, that area down there.
McQuillan is he arranged to have them come, and they're gonna deal with it tomorrow morning, I guess at 7.
Oh, okay.
And then the only other thing was those granite blocks that Mike signed the contract or the license agreement with the MBTA, and so we're just waiting to get the signed agreement back from the MBTA, and then we can harvest these 16 granite blocks for the pocket park, the Straw Hat Park. And yes, sir.
I don't want to interrupt you whenever you're done.
Oh, well, I just have another 45 minutes of extemporaneous discussion, but no, please go ahead.
Mr. DeSorga just alluded to 40B projects, and I just want to remind you, there was, in response to the park project, there was an outpouring of taking the initiative to avoid being in that position again. And I just want to remind you that the town is still in that position, and I am seeing developers come into other towns now with significant projects. And the state has, the DHCD has a requirement that at least 5% be 3-bedroom or more in the unit. So that has a significant impact. We're looking at a 237-unit project that just came into Franklin because Franklin dropped below 10%. The only way to avoid that is to be proactive and be doing something yourself, because otherwise you're totally at the mercy of a developer that comes in and chooses to do it.
It's on our list of selectmen goals, I think. The town has a draft of an affordable housing production plan that was kind of just dropped a year or more ago and hasn't been finalized. But we need to finish the plan, and then once you do the plan, you need to actually start producing. So it's
Speaking of that, what is the story with our goals?
well, we should probably have that on our next agenda to talk about. That was one of the things that, because I did spend some time doing the review of Mike, and part of the thing that happened with Mike was that I thought that Mike had a list of goals from the past year, and that we were going to be evaluating them against those. Mike couldn't find those, I couldn't find them, Christine, nobody could find them, I guess.
I found 06, 07, and 09, 10.
I found some other ones of yours, yeah, I've got some going back. I think that we need to settle ours as a Board of Selectmen, and then in my mind, the issue is, are we holding, when we have a set of goals, do we expect the town administrator to implement them for the town? And are we going to judge him against our goals then?
Well, no, I think we should be implementing our goals.
Right, those are ours, and I
Well,
think.
but I guess I would argue
Those are the ones you
that
put together, I
we're not the
believe.
full-time employees, and so that we would,
No.
I'm sorry. is it-
I think the first thing we need to do is take last year's goals and go through and see which we have completed, we have not completed. I think that's
Yeah.
the first step.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then begin to look at our next goal. But I think it's real important, we just don't have goals and go on to the next one. We need to look at it, and if we haven't met any of those goals, why not?
We need to figure out
And should
why,
we
yep.
be working on those now?
Yep.
I mean, I went through last year's goals and I made all kinds of comments. Some I don't think we've done yet.
No,
Right.
absolutely not.
Well, you're going to have that from time to time anyways, and I think we need to allocate time for that. The danger is if we keep inviting in 10 boards every time we meet, we're never going to have a chance to work on our goals because we're going to spend 2 hours getting updates from the different committees. So I think we need to, set aside some time and maybe back off a little bit with having a lot of visitors in and boards, because it does chew up a bit of the evening here, and then we don't have a chance to get to things like Mike's goals and our goals and stuff like that to kind of do that. So I think it's important we need to manage our time a little bit better too, so that we don't get bogged down in a lot of other things. We've got limited time, limited resources to do things.
Mike, can you maybe put together an agenda for the next two to four meetings and circulate them to us so that we can give you input back on how we want to manage our time for the next couple of months?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of concerned because we seem to have been, we're overscheduling ourselves. We seem to keep piling on, my personal opinion, we keep piling on having a lot of appointments, like I said, tonight, having 10 committees, and we get updates and stuff like that, but it's hard for us to get a lot of stuff done. So I think it would be good if we can maybe, streamline things a bit, maybe focus on a couple of key areas each time, and so we can get some stuff accomplished. It's, I know we have a lot of committees, but perhaps we just can't meet all of them within just a couple of months.
Yeah.
You know.
This was somewhat unusual. We did have an unusually large number of committees, but it was
Yeah.
because they
Well,
were all
I
focusing
agree,
on
but
the town.
plus it's been a huge issue, and I think the idea of getting this summit is very important. I think our downtown is an extremely important issue.
Absolutely.
And the idea to get the summit so that we don't appoint a committee and then they never meet, or one committee's doing one thing, the other committee doesn't know what they're doing, so.
Or we never hear back from the committees as to what they're doing.
I think that was very important, because I think our downtown is incredibly important to,
I found the
to work
information
on.
very useful myself.
So the information is
so-
very useful. I'm just saying we have limited time, so we just have to make sure we budget our time.
Mhm.
I think we get a very packed. Most of our last meetings we had very packed agendas, and then we run out of time towards the end of the evening to cover some other things because we front-loaded things with so many, and they go over. The meetings a lot of times go over. We're not perhaps managing the meeting and letting a lot of the individual appointments kind of run over and over and over. So I think it would be great just to kind of condense things a bit. I think we'd get a lot more accomplished.
Mike, why don't you and I try to sort out the agendas then for the next, maybe the next 4 meetings, and then we can give it to Richard and Mark for their input and changes if they want to do that.
Okay.
Because I guess that's one of the few things that as chair I should be doing is working on the future agendas. Anything there on the informational items, Mike, that you want to let people know about?
One thing, Elizabeth Lovelace, one of the outreach workers, is going to
Yeah.
be leaving the end of this week. She's
Yeah,
accepted a position in Needham, so
Yeah.
she's been with us about 2 years and done an excellent job, I think. The other thing I did put together for the Solid Waste Committee, we got the June tonnage totals in, so I put together a report, and I think you should have copies in there. And it's a very good news, actually. We started keeping track of this in fiscal 11, which was the first full year we had under single stream recycling. And since that time, our total tonnage incinerating, what we take to the incinerator plus what we do in single stream recycling has dropped by 7.5%. Even better news is our incinerator tonnage has dropped by 10.5%, or about 333 tons. So we're taking 300, over the last 3 years, we're taking 333 tons less to the incinerator each year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And our recycling tonnage actually has gone up slightly.
Yeah.
And this year, for the first time, fiscal 14, which we just finished the end of June, we passed 1,000 tons of recycled material for the first time. That goes up fairly slowly, but it has been a positive movement. And so we're up to 26.2%, I believe it is, or 26.1% of the total that we haul out, either the incinerator or single stream, has been being recycled. When we started single stream at 23.7%, we're now up to 26.1%. So we're making slow but steady progress.
Yes.
And the best news is that our tonnage is actually dropping
Yeah.
considerably.
Yeah.
I wonder if some of that, all the improvements that the volunteers at the swap have done, I wonder if that helps with
It's a
that.
combination of that. I think it's the guys at the transfer station doing better enforcement, keeping people from other towns and contractors out.
And I know they do suggest, I've watched them gently suggest people, maybe can you take that instead of throwing it away, do you mind taking a
Recycle
swing
it.
back through and recycle that? So
Yes,
they're
yeah.
pretty good about that.
And even little things like the sign, you know, when you go into transfer station, they have this series of signs,
Thank you
have
for
you
recycling.
recycled, separate your
Yeah,
recyclables,
no.
and thank you for recycling, that sort of thing helps. So I think it's a combination of things. That tonnage, by the way, that 26.1% is only of what we can weigh. It doesn't include the brush pile, the leaf pile, the metal pile, the clothing pile, the books, the swap area. Those are all additional recyclables. So I'd say we're well over 50% if you add all of those in.
Oh, sure.
So I think they're doing a remarkable job
Yeah.
in terms of our efforts. I was reading the thing about New York, I think it was New York City, some big city anyway, and they were talking about their percentage recycling, and they were saying it was 38%, or no, 49%. But they were counting every ton that they recycled. They counted the carbon that wasn't burned from incinerating it, and they counted that as tonnage and
So
to
you added
figure
that
out
in.
their percentage recycling.
Add that in,
So
yeah.
you really, when you look at these recycling figures, you really have to know what you're looking at. So you're comparing apples to oranges. You know, some of these figures they just pad, frankly, they just pad it. So it looks like they're doing better than they actually are. I think ours, if anything, are on the low side because we're only talking about incineration and single-stream
Right.
recycling.
Yeah, no, the other stuff.
So-
It's pretty heavy if you think about it.
Yes.
If you started weighing in all the brush and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
That was a very good report, because the recycling was going up and the tonnage was going down, so everything was going in the right direction for
Yes,
us.
exactly, yeah. A lot of credit to go around, so.
Yeah, I think it's sad. The town received a letter that the Thunder Hill 4-H Club has been dissolved. They've been down on Plain Street for a while there.
Yeah, I talked to the woman last night. I was here waiting for the Mylar to come in on the water tower, and the woman came and dropped the letter off, and she said the woman that was in charge of it is moving out of the area, and so no, they couldn't get anyone else to take over her duties, so they're dissolving the club. It is too bad. She was going to come in and meet with the Conservation Commission to see if they could set up something similar to a program that's in Natick. I think it's more of a farming program, although
They
it
have
does
an
involve some
organic
animals.
farm there that,
Yes, yeah, so they were going to try to, she was going to try to see if they could get conservation interested in doing something like that.
I think it'd
on
be
the
great
lake.
if we had a town farm. If we, probably would make sense to have it on the Holmquist land. I think that there'd be a lot of opportunities for the kids in town to get involved in that, and
Yes, yeah, and we've already got a very active community garden program. You
Mhm.
know, that's, people
and there
really
might be
like
some
that.
nice synergies between the community garden and a farm, an operating farm, if you had it.
And
I
town
know it-
meeting action gave us permission to do that now, right?
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Winchester's got a fabulous town farm, kind of by default. They paid, I don't know, $12 million for some land, so a developer wouldn't put some houses on it.
Yeah,
And
right.
they haven't come up with a redevelopment plan yet, so it's
It's
a
farm, yeah.
farm. So they got some great chickens there for
Well,
$12
those are
million.
expensive, those are
That's the
expensive chickens, huh?
Yeah.
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 In Weston, they have a sugar shack, and the kids in the middle school all get involved in the sugaring process. And I mean, there're just some nice synergies, I think, it's like the Victory Garden at the Wheelock School.
Yeah.
I think it's nice for the kids to get involved
It
in
is,
that
yeah.
stuff.
Just to know how vegetables are grown so that they don't think they
Oh, yeah, see it
come
instead
in
of
cellophane. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
come in plastic bags.
As far as the water tower goes, I believe the plan has been approved by the Worcester DEP office, so the design plan, so that's all set. The planning board signed the Mylar approval not required last night at their meeting, and the Board of Appeals has their hearing tomorrow night on the water tower. So Water and Sewer's meeting at 6:30 prior to the meeting with the Zoning Board of Appeals. So that's moving along. They're hoping to get it out to bid in August.
Good.
And as I said, Georgia will be in here and probably, well, we have her scheduled, she and Joy, to come in August sometime to meet with you, but they'll be in, Georgia will be in to have you sign the bonds and authorize the borrowing in September.
And the ZBA kind of gave their blessing to the public safety building.
Yep.
Am I reading that right?
Yeah, I believe they have, yeah. So things are moving along. It's been quite a busy year. Usually the summer is slow, and the summer seems to be busier than ever. I just put, for your information, I'm trying to put some of these things on just so you'll be familiar with them. I put the copy of the automobile fleet schedule, the statement of values on town buildings for insurance purposes, just so you'd have an idea. I think the buildings and land is something like $95 million for insurance value we're carrying. So you might want to take a quick look at that in case, somebody says, well, how many buildings do we have and how many trucks and cars do we have? It's a lot. So
Do we know,
that's about it, I guess.
Mike, do you know what's going on with the Cumberland Farms? Is that the spill that caused the red house next to it to have gas vapors or something in the house?
Yes, they're doing an ongoing, they're doing a report to determine the best way to clean it up.
Are those people able to live in that house now or not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think that was only a couple of days they were out, so.
Oh.
But that will probably, the cleanup may go on for a long time, they have to, it's similar to what happened over here at the mobile station, happened at what was then the Texaco station. They've had they had a spill at the cleaning place, the Anton's Cleaners that went on for years, so you'll probably have something like that going on for years. Basically, I think what they do is they airstrip. They pump the water up and into the air, and it gives off, the liquid becomes a gas and evaporates.
So is that it on the informational then?
Yes.
So then we're happy to invite the public to leave, because we have to go into executive session now and begin the rest of our meeting behind closed doors, so that we need a motion. Oh, I need to read something about...
You need to read it and it's a motion.
Thank you, sir. The Medfield Board of Selectmen needs to meet in executive closed session for the following purposes: to discuss strategy with respect to litigation. I declare that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating process of the public body, and that the open session not reconvene at the conclusion of the executive session.
And the motion's the second half of the page.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Board of Selectmen go into executive session for the following purposes: to discuss strategy with respect to litigation. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigation portion of the public body, and the chair so declares, and that the open session not convene at the conclusion of the executive session.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Clerk, do you want to call the roll?
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Sauger, aye. Mr. Peterson?
Yep.
Excellent.
This program was made possible through the generous support of your Medfield friends and neighbors, folks just like you. And thanks for watching.